Thanks so much, Sharad, for returning to the channel. So happy to have you here.
Absolutely. My pleasure. I'm excited to share, go over a demo with you.
Great. Let's dive right into it.
Cool. All right. I'm going to start. There's a lot that can be done in RESimpli, but I'm going to go over high level some of the important things. We were in our last call, we were talking about tracking KPIs. So I'm just going to go over kind of what, some of the things that you need to be tracking is. So if I look at my, marketing type, billboard, cold calling, direct mail, PPC, it tells me how much money I've made, how much money I spent in marketing versus how much money I made. And I can drill down and see, it's the probate list. Again, this is a demo
Wow.
account. It's the probate list that I have, made 15,000 but not spend any money. And the other list I spent 2,000 and I made no money on it. So imagine if you were just looking at the direct mail level, just, at the marketing type direct mail, you would think, oh, I spent 2,000, made 15. But when you drill down into it, you need to look at, okay, what list is it working? And then if I do a little bit more data, let me do this. So if I do a little bit more data, then it tells me, then you can start looking into it. All right, how much money I've spent on this specific marketing channel, how much money I've made. So you want to start looking at what's the ROI, right? For every dollar that I'm spending into my business, how much money that I'm bringing into my business. At a minimum, you want to look at the marketing type, whether it's your cold calling, direct mail, PPC. Once you start doing that, that's the base level. And as you start getting comfortable with that, then the next layer would be, then you start looking within each of those marketing channels, you start looking at specific campaigns. It might be direct mail, probate list versus absentee list. And even within PPC, you might want to look at how you're doing on Google versus Bing and start comparing those. So same thing on the cold calling side of it. So I would say this is the most important number. And then as you scale from there, then you want to start looking at these numbers, which are a little bit more advanced, but we have them here, is how many leads do you need in your business before you go on an appointment? How many appointments do you go on before you make an offers? And how many offers do you need to make before you get a deal in your business? So it gives you an idea, right? You may, and it's a numbers game, it averages out. You may, right out of the gate, you may send 100 pieces of direct mail. You may end up getting one deal out of it, but that's not the norm, right? That's not the norm. That's not going to continue happening unless you have a very, very, very niche list.
Mhm.
But generally speaking, that may not happen. So you may end up using that as a benchmark, but that's not accurate. You want to start looking at your numbers over 6 months and see how that's performing. That's the average you want to use. So you may have 3 months of not getting a deal, but you don't want to lose hope. You want to look at, okay, what's my average overall for 6 months? So I may have, 2 or 3 slow months, but it's going to all catch up. So that's why it becomes very important to start tracking your marketing in your business. Okay. So
Super
that I
powerful.
would say is that's where you start really scaling your business. Now imagine if you're going into a new market and direct mail works for you, then when you go into a new market, you don't need to look at any other marketing channel. You just go straight into direct mail and start marketing from there. Okay.
Great.
And this is what our leads board would look like, right? What I was talking about was, so you can enter a property address and you can see all the other properties the seller has. Let me show you in
Do you
a
mind zooming in
different.
just a little bit?
I'm sorry?
Do you mind zooming in a little
Sure.
bit? Thank you.
Let me do this. See if this one has, okay, this. All right. So this right here, all right. So I can see for this owner, for example, if I'm having a conversation, he might just call and say, hey, I'm interested in selling, but if I know about this owner and I see, oh, wow, this owner has 38 other properties that he owns, and I can see the total estimated value of the portfolio, how
Wow.
much is the open lead and equity. It's a totally different conversation that I'm having with that owner versus just talking about one specific property. So we provide you that information based on, once you enter the property address, we look up the entire portfolio of that owner and tell you how many properties that owner has. So it changes the conversation that you're having with the owner. So that's very important on the sales conversation side of it. But on the lead gen side of it, the first thing that starts with this, you want to have the right list. We offer free driving for dollar built in. So we have native iOS and Android app, and you have free driving for dollars. So you can use that into your business, start generating free leads as you're driving around, whether you're going to work or whatnot. You see a distressed house, just pin that, and then you can skip trace that within the platform and call them and text them from within the system. So you have your list, you stack them into our system based on different lists that you have. You can select them and then push them to a dialer, or you can order direct mail from within the platform. We have a bunch of different letters, postcards, designs that we have. And once you push it to a dialer, then you can just start literally cold calling from right in the platform. So you don't need to go into a different platform to buy phone numbers. You can just call from within the system. You can send text messages from within the system. You can email from within the system. So that's the biggest value add that we provide, is when you start using the platform, you're not going into different platform, that's different software that you have. So if you're logged in, just that's everything you need to do is built right within RESimpli. So you can just go into this campaign and just click dial and just start dialing from right here into the system. And then we'll just start dialing out. You can have your conversation, all your calls are being recorded, all your communication, text, email, everything is being recorded into the system. So if you go back and you're not able to close on the deal at that point, you could go back in 3 months and 4 months and have all the history of all the communication you've had, all the notes and everything that you've had, and then just start the conversation from there with that lead. And I would say one of the most important feature that absolutely our investors love is the drip campaign, the automated drip campaign. So you can go right here and put this lead on a drip campaign. So what the drip campaign does is it automates the follow-up that you have. It's a cliche, but it's true. Fortunes are in the follow-up. I notice it in my business. A lot of investors, successful investors, notice that in their business that they make majority of their money from follow-up. You may get a seller to call you back and say, I'm not interested right now, follow up with me in 6 months. Now you need to have a system that you know, automates the follow-up. You don't want to put it in your notebook, or you don't want to put it on your calendar that, hey, remind me to follow up. And then you don't want to wait until 6 months. You want to stay on their seller radar every single month. So you can just automate that and say like new trip. And then what's going to happen is RESimpli will start texting or emailing the seller every based on the cadence that you have set up. So you can set up so this is what it would look like. So you go to drip campaign, and you can set up, duration, let's say 1 minute after you set it up, send out this text message. So it would automatically send that text message out. Then
Excellent.
after that, you could say that wait for, let's say, 2 days and remind the cold caller on my team to call the seller, right? And then you can go ahead and add another step, and then you can say, all right, wait 3 days and send this email out. So you can build it out. There's no limit to how many steps that you can build out. There's no limit to how many drip campaigns that you can set up in the system. But absolutely the most value add feature in RESimpli is the automated drip campaign. There's 60, 70, 80% of your deals are going to come from the follow-up. So that's where, you want to make sure you have a good follow-up system that automates as much as you possibly can in your system. And you want to reach the sellers through direct mail, SMS, call them, send them an email, send them an RVM, just few different ways to reach the seller. Like if you reach to me, I might be more open to replying through a text message, versus if you reach to me by email, I may not reply to that. So you want to make sure you're reaching out to your sellers through multiple different channels and let them choose what is the most comfortable medium for them. You want to make sure you text them, call them, email them, depending on what they're comfortable with. Then you can just continue the conversation with them on that specific channel that you have. So very, very important to have automations into your system especially when it comes to follow-up. You want to make sure you're following up consistently and also automating a lot of it, so you don't have to keep remembering. Like imagine now, with one lead, it's easy that you just remember, hey, I have to call this person every single month. Now imagine you have hundreds or thousands of these leads. how do you manage everything? That's where a system like RESimpli can just take all of that off your plate and then automatically keep texting them, reminding them, remind you about the call. So if there's any calls that you need to make, it'll just pop up right here in the dashboard. You just click right here. It shows you that you have 174 tasks related to leads. You just click right here. It automatically filters all the leads that have a task that you need to perform on. It doesn't show you anything else. So you want to make sure you come in, clear out all your tasks for the day, and that you're done. So just have a checklist of things that you need to work on, and then RESimpli will take care of the rest as far as follow-up is concerned, right? And then in addition to that, we also offer, like I mentioned, direct mail. We also offer free websites for your acquisition and disposition. This is what the free website looks like. This is what we have a couple of different templates. This is what it looks like right out of the gate. It's built specifically for real estate investors to attract motivated sellers. All you need is your own custom domain. You don't have to pay for anything else. You could go to GoDaddy and get a custom domain for like $10 a year. And then you just forward that domain to RESimpli. And then this is your website that you can link up, and then all the leads, anyone that goes to the website fills out a form, it automatically goes into your RESimpli CRM, and that's where you can automate them on the follow-up side of it. So very, very important to make sure you have presence online with a website and doing some other offline marketing like direct mail, cold calling. That becomes very, very important. Anything else, Ariel, that you want me to go over?
Well, first off, I think one, the UI is just so refreshing, right? Like some
Thank you.
antiquated, like we talked about Podio in the past, makes it difficult to actually navigate the system as well as to run your business off of it. I could see right off the bat the value add with the user interface, but also all the integrations that are being done in the back end. Like you just showed, the website, you're able to create
Yeah.
it and then
Yeah.
have the leads be fed into RESimpli automatically, which is amazing.
Exactly. Yeah,
And if
exactly.
we,
I mean, you don't, yeah, like stuff like if you want to buy a phone number, you just go right here, whatever phone number that you want to buy, you just, enter the area code. So let's say, I'm in Indiana market, I enter the area code, I just buy that number, and then I can start using that phone number for my marketing campaigns, for calling and texting immediately. So it makes it very, very simple. Now you're not having to go into a different platform to buy your numbers, and then you're
Mhm.
calling from this platform, then your call recordings are in one platform, your SMS and everything is in multiple different platforms, and it just makes it super, super confusing. So you buy the phone number, and then if you want to call someone, you just go into any lead and then just click right here, and then just like start calling, texting. If you have email address, then you can just email. So it just pops up. You can just start calling from here. You can start texting, and all your call recording, all your text will show up right here. So you know
Wow.
exactly the communication that you're having. So imagine if you've been communicating back and forth with a seller, you don't have to keep notes or anything. All your calls are being recorded. You just come back, and seller calls you back 6 months later and said, hey, they said, as far as the seller is concerned, they think you are the only one that you're communicating with. They don't realize that you have thousands of people that, an investor is communicating with.
Yeah.
So a seller would text back thinking that you're top of their mind, you know exactly everything that's happened with them. So they say, hey, I'm ready to sell. You have no idea about the history. Okay, what conversation you've had. All you need to go do is go back into your notes. Let me see if I have a lead with some information on it. Oh, yeah, this might have something. Okay, yeah. So I go into this, I can go through the lead, I can listen to the recording, and I can just be caught up in 5 minutes. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. The seller mentioned that they were selling their property because they were going to move down from, Indiana or Chicago to down to Florida. It's springtime. They may be looking to move. Let me call them. Let me just catch up. Or they may have mentioned super, super important. They may have mentioned something, like, oh, my dog passed away, right?
Mhm.
And you listen to that, and then you start the conversation with the, hey, sorry to hear about your dog. It's just some personal things that you want to pick up and build rapport with the seller. That's where it becomes very important to have a good log of all the communication that you're having. If something, noteworthy that seller says, you want to make sure you make a note. The seller said that he has COVID and is not feeling well, right? So let's say if I add this note into the system and then I can pin it to the top. Let's say next time when I call the seller, say, hey, Mr. Seller, I noticed that you had COVID. How are you feeling? Are you okay? Is there anything I can help you with? Imagine the conversation you're having then versus someone who doesn't have that history. And just say,
Yeah.
hey, are you ready to make an offer? Just totally different. I mean, the end result is the intention is the same for both of the investors. But imagine you just paying a little bit more attention, making notes of these things, and just asking, "Hey, Mr. Seller, how are you feeling? Are you okay? Recovered from COVID?" Just saying, "Oh, one of my friends had COVID. It lasted for a couple of weeks. Were you okay? Did anybody else in your family had COVID? Stuff like that." Versus another investor who doesn't have this information, who didn't take note, and just starts off with, "Hey, so you're ready to sell? Would you take an offer of 100,000?" Right? Totally different conversation. Some other integrations we have is not even integration, like we built a complete file system within RESimpli. So you don't need Google Drive, you don't need Dropbox. You can just upload your files right here. You can share that with anyone outside of RESimpli. You can, just like how you use Google Drive or Dropbox, you can use exactly like that here. So I can just go in. If I have a seller that sends me pictures, I can, take those pictures and I can just drop them right here, and then I can upload, and I can even create a shareable link and send it to the seller. Let's say I create a folder right here, say seller pictures. I can create this folder and I can make it shareable, just like how to use, again, Google Drive or Dropbox. And I can choose permission that person can view and add new files, and I can send it to anyone. And this is what it would look like. It would be a public link, and they can upload pictures from their phone, from their
Wow.
computer of the house. So I can say, hey, Mr. Seller, I'm going to send you this link. Can you please take pictures and, send it to me of the house? So they can just do this. They can upload from their public link. Once they've done that, I come back into my system. I just refresh, and all the pictures that I needed are right here automatically synced out. So I
All
don't
in
have to
one
do anything.
place.
Yeah, all in one place. So I don't use Google Drive in my business. I don't use Dropbox. I don't use QuickBooks, nothing. It's just everything that I'm doing in my business runs out of here. Then we have e-sign integration. So you can literally send documents for e-signature right out of the system. So if the seller says, hey, I'm interested, you don't have to go into DocuSign. You don't have to integrate any of that. You just literally go in and say, send for e-sign, and then have your template, just send it out, fill out the information, the seller signs, you sign, and then it just automatically is located in the system. So you don't have to go upload anything, download anything. It just shows up in that specifically. So it makes it super simple to manage your business. So that was the vision from day one. Kind of what I was talking about in the previous call is having a clear vision of what you want to do. We have some
Yeah.
pretty big changes coming this year to the system with what we built now. We always getting feedback from our customer base and making sure we're solving, always looking at the problem that we're trying to solve for them. So we have some big changes coming out this year that I'm super excited about. But yeah, I mean, we're always looking at the problem that we're trying to solve for our end customer at the end of the day.
Of course. Yeah. I think it's
Yeah.
excellent that you always have end customer in mind. And from the platform already, I mean, I know you say you're going to have more features out, but clearly can see how much time you're saving for the person who uses this, as well as money at the end of the day, how much they're saving
Yeah.
by being able to track their marketing. So if you could actually detail a little bit, what is coming soon for ReSimpli?
I mean, I cannot share all the details. We have some pretty big updates coming, but the next update that we have coming is the notification is what a lot of people have been asking for. It would be a real-time notification. So if you get a text, email, call, anything in the system, it just pops up. You don't have to refresh the page.
Nice.
So this has been something a lot of people had been asking us for. And then we have a central inbox coming. So for all the communication that you're doing with your sellers, your buyers, your vendors, I didn't even go into that. So we also offer website for your disposition side of it. So this is on the acquisition side. Now that you have a property under contract, you can also list it on our platform, on your own platform, actually, like we just
Great.
offer a template, and then you can send it to your buyers list. So we're making some updates to that. and some of other cool things coming to help our investors close more deals. That's the stuff that gets me super, super excited, is to always make sure we're working on things that are going to help our investors make more money at the end of the day.
Yeah, huge value add.
Yeah.
And for those who want to get started, how would they do so?
Yeah, I mean, they could go to RESimpli.com, RESimpli.com, and they can book a demo. There's a bunch of videos we have on YouTube just to learn a little bit more. But if they want to get started, we offer a free 14-day trial that they can sign up for and just start using their platform, just start using and see if it's a good fit for them. But yeah, they can go to RESimpli.com and sign up for a free demo, free trial.
Excellent. Easy to do. Well, thank you so much, Sharad. Really appreciate your time and amazing demo.
Thank you so much, Ariel. This has been great to be on the show. Thank you so much for having me.